Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Benjamin Cure Show. Today, we have a very special guest joining us. She is the chairwoman of the City of Miami Commission, Ms. Christine King. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm really excited. So first thing I want to start off with, currently you're the only attorney on the City of Miami Commission. How do you feel that separates you from the pack, and what inspired you to take that path?
It doesn't really separate me from the pack because all of my colleagues are serving for the same reason, that we wanted to make a difference in our community. Having a JD and practicing law prior to me becoming an elected official maybe gives me a slight edge with technical legal jargon, technical legal issues that may come before the commission. I might have just a slight leg up on my colleagues, but not much, because our city attorneys, that team really does a good job of walking us through legal issues, and, our agenda items are reviewed for legal sufficiency. So maybe my items don't need as much review for legal sufficiency, but not much of a difference where you weigh the desire to be a public servant and serve your community. You don't need any alphabet behind your name to be good at that.
I love that. So let's go a little bit back prior to you serving as a public servant. Your Wheels to Work initiatives and what you did there was truly very inspiring, especially reading about it in retrospect. I am someone who is currently a college student. I relied on public transportation for my entire collegiate career, I guess you could say, up until about the ending of my junior year, taking the bus all the way to Biscayne Bay for the FIU campus. And it's something that's very close to my heart. I want to know, is there a story behind why you were so passionate about that? And what do you think it taught you about people and their needs?
There is absolutely a story. My parents immigrated to America from Guyana when I was young. I was educated here in Miami, and my parents divorced very early on. My mother didn't have any family here. She's raising 2 children on her own, and we took the bus everywhere. My mom took us to the youth fair every year on the bus. Imagine that. It was like 3 buses we had to take to get to the youth fair, and we'd leave like 6 a.m, so we'd have the whole day there. And we had to take the bus everywhere. Her first car was a used Volkswagen. It was orange. It had a hatchback. I never see this car anywhere. It didn't have air conditioning. You had to open the windows were triangle then and kind of angle it at you so the air would blow on you to keep you cool. And it would have made such a difference for my mother to be in a program like Wheels to Work, to provide reliable transportation to families that have transportation hardships. And now we know we don't have the best public transportation system. If you miss a bus, you can be an hour late to wherever it is you're trying to go. And imagine a single mom with small children. Children don't put their shoes away where they're supposed to. So if you have a morning where you can't find some shoes, or your baby is having a meltdown and you miss that bus, your employment is in jeopardy, because your employer doesn't care that your children aren't perfect and they didn't put their shoes away like they should have, or they didn't eat their breakfast the way they, quickly, or what have you. And having reliable transportation makes the difference between some families keeping a job, some other families being able to get a better job, go to school, participate in their children's lives after school with after-school activities. All of that is hindered if you have to get public transportation. All of that is hindered because by the time you get off work, go pick your baby up from aftercare, and don't be late, because if you're late for aftercare, you're going to get charged additional money, and it's just a snowball effect. So really, I'm so passionate about that program because of what it would have meant to my mom.
I love that. And I can see why you were just recently reelected by a huge margin of 84%. And as one of my greatest mentors would say, in this arena, 84% is 100%. So that's a testament to you. And just stories like that teach you why you're very relatable and you clearly have your ear to the ground. And so what else do you think your upbringing taught you about sense of community? I think that's really important here as well.
Absolutely everything. And everything I've done up to the point of getting elected in November 2021, I've taken my entire life and brought that to service. My model is Maslow's hierarchy, right? We meet the families where they are. I'm trying to make sure that everybody has a stable foundation, and then we go up, right? And it's all about the family. Everything I do is surrounded by making sure our families are good. That's our seniors. My parents, both 83 years old. I recently lost my dad. So I know how hard it is for seniors living alone, living on a fixed income to make it in Miami, one of the most expensive cities in the US, right? So families, children. I know how important it is. I was a latchkey kid. Again, single mom. My brother and I were latchkey kids. We had to get home from school, and we were home by ourselves until our mom came home. After school programs are a major part of what brings our community together. And just providing services, wraparound services for our whole family, seniors, children, in-betweens. You are an in-between, right? You would be considered an in-between. Moms, dads, everything. I try to capture all of that in my service to make sure that the family is good. And when families are good, your communities are thriving.
I love that. And you do speak to in-betweens with many of your policies, believe it or not. Something that you always champion, that every time you do champion, I get excited, is the City of Miami First Time Homebuyers Program. Because I don't talk about municipal-related topics with my friends very much, but when we do, we're always talking about things like that, right? What are some municipal programs or government programs that are going to lend a hand or are going to be able to facilitate the future and helping us grow in the ways that we want to? And so, as a professional in the City of Miami, it is one of the most important things to me that I would love to be able to take part in. Can you explain to the audience, maybe who's my age, who's not as familiar with the program, and educate them? What is the City of Miami First Time Homebuyers Program, and what is the goal of that program?
The goal of the program is to bring the dream of homeownership to low and moderate income families. My program, I started when I got elected. Now, this is top priority for me. I put aside $3 million for this program. I hold a second mortgage of up to $200,000, interest-free and forgivable for first-time homebuyers. I'm taking our infill lots in District 5, unsightly, overgrown, trash, and turning those into someone's forever home. I sell the home at cost, and with all of the subsidies, one of the unique things that I did with our legislation was to make the subsidies stackable. So you could go outside of the city of Miami to Miami-Dade County MDEETS program, where they offer down payment assistance and closing cost assistance. You can also get that from banks. And then the city also has a small grant that you can stack with this. So for example, a single family home in my infill lot program sold for $300,000. Once you added all of the subsidies or subtracted the subsidies, that $300,000 home has an $80,000 mortgage. That family is paying less in mortgage than they paid in rent, and it's theirs. Now, it has to be your homestead. You have to be a City of Miami resident, and then you have to move into District 5 because it's my program, right? So you have to move into District 5. But it's it's a gift that keeps giving because you're building generational wealth for your family. You're now a stakeholder in your community as a homeowner, and it's a sense of pride for the children. And I believe everyone that has taken place has gotten one of these infill lots. They have not lived in a house. They grew up living in an apartment, and now they are true homeowners, first-time homeowners. So I'm very proud of that program.
That's beautiful. And on that note, you've also been a champion of the idea that progress is good, but I don't want my community to get pushed out by overdevelopment. How do you balance progress with affordability in the city of Miami?
You have to be very intentional. I tell everyone, some of my neighbors want to live in Bedrock, and some of my neighbors want to live in Orbit City. And it's my job as the elected to find a balance between Bedrock and Orbit City, somewhere in between there. So you just have to be intentional, and you have to consider where the development is. You can't go and put a 50-story high-rise in the Upper East Side, where it's a historic neighborhood, or in Spring Garden. You can't put it in areas in Overtown either, because that's out of scale for the community. But you balance it and you look, and then I like to get community benefits, Is this going to be a market rate building, solely market rate? If it is, will the developer consider giving me some affordable units in that building? Because that's also important, which is what I did in Overtown with Block 45. It's a market rate unit, but I carved out 40 units of affordable units, 60, 80% AMI, so that everyone can be a part of this beautiful, beautiful complex.
And on that note, can you explain the importance and the role of CRAs, whether it be the Omni CRA, the Overtown CRA, in developments like this or mixed-use housing projects?
Absolutely. So CRAs, community redevelopment agencies, are a creature of the state of Florida, and they have a certain geographic boundary. And within that boundary, we are able to take money, funds from tax increments, and put it towards this area to eliminate slum and blight by economic development, housing, and different programs and initiatives. So that's how I was able to buy those units with CRA money, so that all families can benefit from being in this market rate unit. And imagine a low-income family, a child living next door to a doctor. You're seeing different professions and meeting different people. It takes you outside of this economic definition that you fall within. You're not in this development, you're not low income, you're someone's neighbor. You're not high income, you're someone's neighbor. And I think that's how we build and we give experiences to children. And that's why that was so important to me, to give families a different perspective, point of view, and not just I'm low income or I'm poor and I can't live in this place that's so nice.
You've also been a major player in the city's efforts to tackle homelessness and to address it. And you've had a lot of success in the time that you've been on the City of Miami Commission, whether it be through projects or through the Lotus House, for example. Can you explain some of those initiatives and tell me how far we've come, as well as maybe where there's still a gap and where we need to make progress?
We have made leaps and bounds in progress to address our homeless population. Our former mayor came up with functional zero, right? And I believe Miami has the lowest rate of homeless in the country. Investing in our homeless population is key, where, for example, the Homeless Trust, Ron Book as the chair, he's doing fantastic work with buying properties like hotels and turning those into housing for homeless, reimagining what that space was into what it is now. And we have got to continue to invest in solving this issue. Homelessness is not just a cookie cutter thing. Some are experiencing addiction issues. Some are experiencing mental illness. We are going to have a beautiful facility come online soon, Judge Leifman's project, and that's to address mental illness and homeless. And once we keep addressing the causes of homelessness, then we can eliminate homelessness for families.
Beautification is also a very important part of who you are as a public servant and about the identity of the neighborhoods and making sure that they're vibrant. Can you tell me about some of the projects and some of the initiatives you've had on the beautification side for your district?
Absolutely. When I started this journey as a public servant, Liberty City and other parts of my district were not known for its beauty, culture, the vibrancy of it. And that narrative had to change with me because I want every neighborhood in my district to be known for its culture, its vibrancy, the arts. District 5 is the most unique district in the city of Miami because we have all walks of life living in District 5. And small things like maintaining MLK Boulevard, which I did before I became a public servant as the president CEO of the MLK EDC. When I got elected, one of the first things I did was make sure that we could have holiday lighting on MLK Boulevard. And we light up the trees for the holiday, and it's beautiful. You see that in every other neighborhood. Why couldn't it be in our neighborhood? So things like that, banners on our boulevard that depicts Dr. King's image, beautifying our, I had a tree canopy program. We've planted hundreds of trees in District 5, in Liberty City alone. And our cleanup effort, there was a young man that used to follow me, Miami es basura, and he would tag me and show trash piles in Miami. And before the day was out, I would have that picked up. He isn't even, I don't know what happened to him. He doesn't do that anymore. I cannot pass a trash pile in my district without calling it in, having them go and address it, because the cleanliness of where you live brings pride. So we have beautiful plants on MLK Boulevard, flowers that bloom all the time. We have a beautiful marquee as you get off of the highway. You see Dr. King's marquee and flowers around it. And, you know, little by little, I say street by street, I'm cleaning up District 5. And it's beautiful now. It is beautiful. 4 years plus later, the streets are beautiful.
I love that because it shows that you did keep your ear to the ground, that you've always been aware of what the issues are that are important to your community. And one of the ways you do that is through Constituent Tuesdays, which is a very unique program that I think really allows you to stay close to your residents. You know, legislation, the day-to-day, right? It's very difficult, but if you're making it a point to constantly be out there and present in the community, that's a win in and of itself. And so can you tell me a little bit about that program and what gave you the idea to do that? Because it's we tend to put our public servants in this position where, like, they're, in our mind, oh, they're inaccessible because they're very important people. How did you demystify that and almost humanize the process?
Well, before I got elected, I had a very grassroots campaign, and I went door to door. I knocked on thousands of doors because I started very early. No one knew me, and I wanted to get to know them, and I wanted them to get to know me. Resoundingly, what I heard was, you politicians come around when you want our vote, and then we never see you again. And I took that to heart and created Constituent Tuesday. First Tuesday of every month, you can come and see me. You don't need an appointment. You just come. And when I started it, I thought, nobody's going to come. My last one, I had 58 folks come and see me. And from Constituent Tuesday are born ideas. We resolve issues. If I can't resolve your issue right there, you leave my office with an email, one of my staffers, somebody from administration, and we resolve your issue. If we don't resolve your issue, you can come and see me the next Constituent Tuesday. So we are very accountable. The first couple of times I did it, I remember this lady came in and she said, I don't want anything. I just want to hug you, because I've never been able to speak to my elected official after they've gotten elected. And I think I'm the only one that does that. Dedicate a day just to be with my constituents. Developers aren't welcome, only my constituents. And from that, like a young man came to see me and he wanted to do a boxing program in Overtown, and he said he wanted to do it in the park. And I thought, but you'd have to take the equipment out of the park, put it in the park. And I knew of a space that was looking for a nonprofit. We are going to have a boxing gym in Overtown because he came to see me at Constituent Tuesday, and it's for boys and girls, and we could maybe see the next Layla Ali or the next Muhammad Ali come right out of our community. And I'm so excited about that. And to make his dream come true, but to also give our kids another avenue to be creative.
Exhibit A of what it means to be a grassroots candidate, right? I mean,
Exactly.
truly, what a beautiful story, and I'm so glad that we could kind of share that today. Any legislative goals for the immediate future, maybe in the next year? Anything that you would like to champion or anything on the horizon for you?
Yes, well, one of the things that I am working on now is updating the Historic Preservation Board, because I have historic neighborhoods in my district, and I get families coming to me Constituent Tuesday sharing their concerns. One of the things that I've already done is that when someone who lives in a historic neighborhood goes to get a permit, it should be kicked automatically to the Historic Preservation Board. It wasn't like that before. You would go through the permitting process in the city and then go to Historic Preservation, which would add an enormous amount of time for you to get this permit. The city would have already approved your permit, but because there are different criteria for historic preservation, now you're caught, right? So now if you go, you should be automatically kicked over to historic preservation so you could address the criteria needed to do whatever it is that you're trying to do to your home, and the process be a little smoother. But in all things, you know, when you have stuff that was created 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and you haven't updated your systems and your policies, it doesn't work anymore where we are today. So that's a lot of the things that I'm working on now, things that don't work today. It worked 20 years ago, 25 years ago, but you have to keep evolving. You have to keep growing and looking at your systems to see, does this still make sense today? So, and another thing I'm really working on is resiliency and climate change. I live on the Bay. So that's important to me, and to, you know, leave this world better than I found it. And, you know, we had a conversation about me drinking something out of a can. I won't do it, you know. So I'm very health conscious, and I lead, like we have Fit City for our employees, the city of Miami. It's a challenge.
I think that's where we met for the first time
Yes.
about a year ago. And
Yes.
it was such a great initiative. And, you know, it's one of the countless things that you do that really do make people, it kind of pushes them to get out there, right? And to do the right thing, whether it's for their own lives or for others.
Yeah, because a healthy city, healthy employees make for better, and we're all public servants. All of the city of Miami employees, they're public servants also. We're here to serve the public. So we want to be as healthy physically, mentally as we possibly can. And I'm a big champion for that, for myself as well. And, you know, because I know what it's like to deal with anxiety, and how do you channel that healthy. I run, I walk, I meditate, I do yoga, I crochet. So I pass that along, and it brings camaraderie with the employees and boosts morale. So
Absolutely. Anything, you know, I have had small businesses on this platform. I've had athletes. I've had business people. When I have public servants on, I always make it a point to, for the younger audience, really want to get them engaged. Why should young people in the city of Miami want to be engaged and want to be informed about their community and what's happening around them?
funny, I teach Miami politics at FIU, and that is one of the questions that we talk about in my class, because eventually you are going to care about your neighborhood, and you should know who is representing you, because you want that person to have the same ideals as you have. And I read this one day: have the day you voted for. If you don't participate in your community, you can't complain. You have to be a part of the solution, not just stand on the sidelines and complain. Anybody can do that. But it takes a lot to get involved. And Dr. King said, any man can be great because anybody can serve. We all can serve. At your church, at your little league, everybody can play a part in making their community better. And it starts with participating, voting. Vote for the person that you believe would be the best person to serve you. And that's how we make change. That's the new localism, where you see neighborhoods getting involved, HOAs having a say in what's happening in their community. I can't make the decisions all by myself. I need the input of my neighbors to help me shape what happens in the district. And that's why young people should get involved, because they're energetic. They have all of the ideas. They have, there's times where you have to pass the mantle down, and they're the ones that have to pick up that mantle, because one day you're going to have a family. One day you're going to have children, and you're going to care about the park that your child is playing in and whether it's well maintained, and the equipment, the gym equipment, the exercise equipment, the monkey bars, the swings are up to par and not falling apart or rusty. You guys are going to care about that.
Amen. If you could go back to Miss King at 5 years old, who had just emigrated to Miami from Guyana, what would you tell her?
Trust your instincts. Trust your instincts and have faith that everything is going to be okay, because it will. You think about a time where you were stressed out and you were unsure. That time passes and you come out on the other side better for it. Unless you're hardhead, and you will continue to get these lessons until you learn. But if you trust your instincts and you have faith, everything is going to work out exactly the way it should.
Chairwoman, thank you so much for your time. I super appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, and wishing you the best of luck, not only throughout this legislative year, but really for the rest of your term and hopefully beyond that.
Thank you. Thank you, and congratulations.
Thank you. Much appreciated.